It was around this time last year that John Horgan was just finding his footing as the NDP's newest leader. It seems like a long time ago, and much has changed since. Under his watch, the party has gained its confidence following the devastating 2013 provincial election loss. I asked Horgan about this over a recent beer in which we also talked about his nature, false narratives, and Irish proverbs. You said you might be accused of being cynical by nature. What are you by nature then?
Optimistic. Optimistic. You have to be to get up every day and do this type of work. I always try and see the positive in everyone and everything. And that, again, was something that I inherited from my mother. And she taught me to always look on the bright side because there are dark days ahead. And when you see sunshine, you should enjoy it. And it's the old Irish proverb, you know, may the sun always be in your face and the wind always at your back and the rain lightly on your fields. So you're always looking for the optimum, even in bad situations.
You guys do really well in question period. You bring some really important issues forward. You hammer the government a lot of the time. How do you transform success in question period to actually connecting with voters, winning an election, becoming government?
Well, we do very well at opposition, and sometimes people say that's where we like the NDP to be because they're good at it. For me, I genuinely like people. It's something that I've always enjoyed. What I enjoy most about the job is the interesting people I meet and the stories that they tell me. And I think it's part of the Irish heritage that we are storytellers and we're listeners as well. You know, that's what I like to do. And as I collect other people's stories, I weave them into my own narrative about the body politic. What's going on in our communities and what are people feeling? And right now, what I'm hearing is that they're put upon by their government. And that's not an unfamiliar refrain. You've had that over time. People will say government takes too much, they give too little. So that appears to be a rinse and repeat sort of story, but I think there's more pain in people's eyes now when they're telling that story because it's tough. Trying to find housing in Vancouver that's affordable, these are issues that appear to be current, but they're not just issues, they're not just stories, they're people's lives, and they're having a negative impact on our ability as a society to develop, our economy to grow, and for us to be the caring, giving people that we all want to be, and we all actually know that we are at the end of the day.
So what would you guys do to push those other things forward?
Well, you need to do more than walk and chew gum at the same time. When the Premier was re-elected, she did so on a platform that said LNG will be our salvation. Liquefied natural gas was going to eliminate the debt, there'd be no sales tax, everything. We're going to be tripping over the piles of gold on the side of the road. And her put back to me and my colleagues was, well, you're against all of this stuff. And I said, well, what are you talking about? I've been the energy critic for 8 years. I was in government when the Oil and Gas Commission was developed, which allowed us to develop the oil and gas fields in the Peace River part of BC. So I've been a supporter of this industry for a long time, even before I became an elected representative. But that didn't fit with the Premier's narrative. I'm in favor of everything and you're against everything. So what I think the people want is let's have a rational discussion about this. I just had lunch today with a business person here in Vancouver, a prominent individual, and we talked about the lack of a genuine, real discussion about these issues. It's always wedges, you know. I have to demonstrate that, hyperpartisanship, and you're against it, I'm in favor of it. I asked the Premier questions last week about LNG, and she had no interest in answering the question. She had every interest in standing up and saying, you're against it, I'm in favor of it. I want to create jobs, you don't. And I said, well, of course I want to create jobs. Why wouldn't I? And if I'm going to be successful, back to your original question or your earlier question, if I'm going to go to resource communities and get support from people who work in forestry, mining, natural resource development, I have to talk about those issues in a positive way, and I do. And I get a positive response. But the pushback from the government is, no, you're against it. And I'm going to keep saying it even though it's not true. And so I tire of that partisan stuff pretty quickly. But again, it becomes a pattern. Let's have a rational discussion. That's what people want. We elect all you guys to go and do your thing. We don't want to hear about it unless you've got a solution. We definitely don't want to hear about you poking each other in the eye all day long.